It, all right, kicking things off in. Hey, this is Wicked Spursy. Mike, Steve, no Dave. Dave is unfortunately unable to join us tonight, but he is, as usual, with us in spirit. Sure, he'd rather be with us in spirits. Liquor. Yep.
Cheers.
Much better than the work stuff I'm sure he's doing right now, for sure. But Mike, you made it at least. I made it. We're here.
The thing is, Steve, that here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
I feel like Dave's injury woes are starting to add up. It seems like he's injured a couple times a year, much like our um one of our favorite right wing slash I don't know what the fuck he's been, but Sessignon, he's been injured.
Sex.
He's been injured as much as Sessignon at this point. Um,
Yeah, I
I
was thinking he's like the Lo Celso of the Wicked Spursy podcast.
I mean, are we gonna have to start bringing in like maybe a fresh up and coming newcomer, somebody
I,
who's maybe very very handsome, tall, blonde, or maybe even um maybe somebody who's maybe a little bit pudgy who hits walk off grand slams. Who knows?
who knows? But you know what? Our bench is looking a bit thin. For all the hubbub that we get from certain individuals wanting to come on again and have their guest appearances. Suddenly, when the opportunity is given to them, they're teaching a class and can't make it.
It's a wonder that he keeps playing in the championship. He'll
Good old
never
Nicky Wings.
Good old Nicky Winks. He'll never make it never make it back to the Premier League, I guess.
Hey, he did. Winksy did score a pretty solid goal. I'll give him that.
Okay, we'll give that to him. I love when alumni score goals.
Yeah, it feels
it
good.
makes you feel good, doesn't it? Um,
Yeah.
so how have things been going with you for the past week?
They've been good. They've been good. Granted, I had a fun conversation with my buddy last night, was it? Where I told him, like, it's a good thing that I've got Tottenham and Ange to bring me some joy during the week because man, watching the Giants is just misery. Like that is like probably worse than Conte ball and Mourinho ball and Nuno ball all put together.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have an Italian terrorist as a head coach. You just have a fat know nothing. Um,
Bald fraud.
a bald fraud. Yeah, Brian Dable. My Washington team's the same way, dude. It's like every single year, it's the same exact thing. Last night I took took my jersey off, and I threw it on the ground, and I said to my wife, I can't do this anymore. I might give it another couple of weeks and see if we can pull out a win. But we have Thanksgiving coming up against the hated Dallas Cowboys. But
Yep.
that said, for me, my week's been pretty good, man. No school stuff for the kids, no sports stuff for the kids, just kind of chilling out. My son has finally hit that point in his life where he's decided to go with the movie serial killer costume
Excellent.
For
What's he going
Halloween.
with?
He went with Ghostface.
Ghostface. Classic.
Yeah. I mean, and he every single time I turn around, he's fucking there behind me, sneaks up behind me and scares the shit out of me. And that
That's
it's no,
hilarious.
it is hilarious because he's very quiet. And you know what he does too? He does that thing, where in the movie where he Ghostface like shows up in the window and has the knife, and he's like,
Yep.
he does that to me, and it scares the shit out of me. Like I'll turn around, he'll just be there.
You know what? At least it's that, and he hasn't discovered like Scary Movie, and you get the parody version.
Oh, where he's baked, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So at least you've got that going for you.
I do, I do.
We've got father son vampire costumes for tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
Yes, I wanted to do vampires. I've wanted to do Harry Potter in the past. I feel like I would make a um I would do very well as as any one of the larger characters. I wanted to be Dumbledore at one point, but I'm very heavy, you know. But I would love to pay some tribute to Robbie Coltrane at some point. But
Oh yeah.
my kids won't do that for me. They won't indulge me. Lily's not going out to Halloween this year.
Oh, too
Yeah,
cool
so
for it now.
yeah, she is. She is. You know what she's not too cool for though?
Wicked Spursy.
Wicked Spursy. She's not. Well, she she can't listen to her dad talk like this. Ever. She's not too cool for watching Tottenham Hotspur with her dad.
Well, there's something.
That is something. I think that Ange Ball and possibly Mickey Van de Ven has caught her eye.
Ah, she's a big Mickey fan.
Oh, she wants a shirt. She hasn't decided yet what she wants for a number on the back of it, but I could steer her toward Mickey Van de Ven.
Excellent. I think I've decided because I don't really like any of the options this year. Nothing's really, exciting for me, except I love that sky blue goalkeeper kit. And man,
Oh,
if if I'm ever getting a keeper at this point, Vicario's a really solid option.
dude, yeah. Do we want to talk about Macario like right now? Because I don't know if we did give him enough credit last week. That dude is outrageous.
Dude, his reaction is
I don't know that like getting this guy. So you did you read that thing that Ange had but was talking about? It was Vicario or another guy.
Oh
Um,
yeah, the person who just wanted to get out of their club, the
yeah,
unnamed.
yeah. Obviously, I mean, we know who that is, right?
Yeah, Raya.
Yeah. Nobody wants to play at Brentford for the rest of their career. So I mean, you look at that and another victory for the man they call Ange Postacoglu, right? I mean, he takes a guy at the risk of it being not the right guy, at the risk of it being a guy who did has never played in the Premier League, um, and has had two stellar, well, pretty stellar seasons at a shit club. Like at the risk of all of that, he says, "I'd rather the guy who said that he would bleed for this club, that he would, what did
Yeah,
he
he
say? He
said
would sign his contract in blood and walk from Italy or something."
yes. Yeah. He was all in on Spurs.
Right. So I mean, like that type of a guy. It's the same type of a thing. Like, I mean, Vicario's a little crazier, and he would sign his contract in blood. Madison is the same type of thing. Madison said, I could just see myself playing for that club. Like, so obviously Vicario wanted to play for Spurs. And you want the guy who wants to play for you, not the guy who just seems like he wants out of his club and he thinks he's bigger and better than the club. And now we're finding that 50% of Arsenal fans do not want him as their keeper. There,
Really?
some of the polls I saw, there's like two different polls that I saw. They're just like, those stupid online polls. But like, and obviously there's always going to be naysayers and there's always going to be people from other clubs that are voting on these. But like it seems like it's about 50% of people just would rather have gone with Ramsdale. And some of it might be racism, some of it might be, other shit. Um,
Look,
I
not for
don't
nothing. Ramsdale's a good keeper. I mean, I don't like if they had any position that they needed to reinforce, I don't know that spending what 40 million on a goalkeeper was it.
yeah.
But again, if they want to burn their money and cause chaos in the locker room, then fucking go for it, right? Like I don't
Sure.
care.
Yeah. Fuck that, man. But that said, yeah, Vicario, it's just like I said, another victory for Spurs on and for Ange Postecoglou and for the fans, really. Getting a guy with good character and getting a guy who wants to be here. I
But
mean,
not
it's
just that, not just that. Like if you look at the game, right, versus Crystal Palace, the thing that really excited me about him was when VAR goofed and awarded the goal anyway, despite the fact that it was a clear handball. Like everybody was saying it was a handball. You even had people at the stadium when it was shown on the screen in front of the tens of thousands of people there going, yeah, that's a handball. It's getting pulled back. Um, Vicari was like, he wasn't so much incensed that the goal was given. It was more that he lost his clean sheet, and because he works hard for that stuff, and you hear all the defenders talking about how he's the sort of guy who, like, those things matter to him. He wants to keep the clean sheet, he wants to keep that ball out, and he is like one of those guys who he's got like crazy eyes almost, right? Like
all the time.
he's just frantic. Like, if I can do anything to keep this ball from going in that net, I'm going to do it. And some of the acrobatic things that he does is like, I couldn't imagine even Hugo in his prime pulling off some of those saves. And Hugo's done some really great things in his career. And
That
maybe that's
that
a bit of a disservice to Hugo, because he has had some spectacular saves throughout the years. But Vicario is like, for a young goalkeeper, just coming into a new league, like you said, playing for a not really that great team in Italy, it's like I'm just super impressed with him. I'm impressed with his professionalism. I'm impressed with his skills, his reaction. And yes, he does have the brain dead move from time to time, but you know what? He always rushes back. He always gets himself back in position, and he's just giving these guys the crazy eyes to, keep that ball far away
dude,
from his net.
that you know what that does though, and it's something you didn't see Hugo do a lot too. Is like he, like you were saying, he's constantly talking. He's constantly giving direction. He's hustling to get back in place. He's hustling to get off the ground after saves. He jumps up, and we I mean we saw that when the very first time that we saw highlights of him, and the big highlight was what, the triple save, right, against Roma, and uh you know in a world class finisher like Paulo Di Paula. We the thing that does, that really does, is gives confidence to your defenders, right? And especially a young defender like Mickey is. Mickey's 20 something years old, right? 20 years old.
22, yeah.
Yeah. So and even Udogi back there and Pedro Porro, like, we have a very, very young back line that could potentially be there for a long, long time. And I think that, like, the stuff that you see coming out of Vicario is from, that's a keeper that's had years and years and years of service. Like, that, you don't see guys that act like that when they're that young. He's a young keeper, man. And hopefully we can keep this group together for a long, long time. You know, the other thing is like, you need other guys though that you can.
It's funny that we talk about him as a young keeper because I did have to look up his age. He's 27, which is crazy to think about. Like, yeah, he's young. I mean, who have we had before? Hugo, who's what, like 34, Fraser Forrester, who's in his mid 30s as well.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah, relative to that, sure, they're young, but
well, he's young, but I think the thing is that, like, you know, how old was Hugo when he won his first World Cup? He was probably the same age, right? Possibly, maybe younger. Um, but I don't think Hugo has ever had the ability to play the ball the way he does at his feet. And we didn't even know that was great. That was a good part of his game, a decent part of his game. Um, what you had with Hugo too is, like, you had world class defenders in front of him who were proven world class defenders, right? They came from Ajax, right? And they came from the Ajax Academy, and they, like Jan and Toby, they were world class defenders when they came to us already, and they were known quantities. Um, well, maybe not as known quantities, but, like,
they were, on the radar
they
for
were
sure.
definitely there, and nobody knew that Van de Ven was going to be this good.
Yeah, it's funny when you look back even a couple of months, people on social saying, "Oh, he's just gonna, he's a good backup. He's gonna be a good backup." And it's like, no, 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 no. How wrong you are. He is gonna start and he is going to excel.
And that's because, again, going back to Andrew, I think he gives these guys confidence to do what they do.
Yeah.
Um,
Speaking of confidence, let's talk more about the Palace game because there's some interesting there's some interesting things that we could mention. I'm just looking at the stats for the game, and they do not look good for Spurs, to be honest. They do not look like what you would expect, given that we won that game 2-1. We had one shot on target. Yeah, that's right. We won the game 2-1. We had one shot on target.
Owen goal.
Own goal, coming in clutch.
Um,
But you know what? We didn't need to do anything. Crystal Palace made it really easy for us to just not really do much.
for the last what 20 out of 30 minutes of the game, like the last five, well, probably the last 5 minutes of
Like got
extra time
frantic after the goal. Yeah.
got a little frantic. We were approaching tight butthole moments a couple of times, and it was the first time I felt that all season, but I was never really that worried that we were going to concede because of our set piece defense has been pretty good. And again, it's the confidence of the keeper to come out and punch that ball away at the end. Um, it's the confidence of somebody like Romero, who in his own right is crazy to actually have a ball fall at his feet, and instead of just hoofing it out, to play the ball out to somebody. I think he played it out to Sar. Um, I mean, it's kind of weird to see the Spurs team excelling despite not having that statistical edge. Obviously, we had the edge in time of possession, which I love and I think is a great metric. Um, we're not outperforming our XG, which you would think that we would be. Um, but there are a lot of things in this game to break down that tell you that, like, maybe we didn't play our best game, and maybe that's the kind of the trend, but it's I don't think it is the trend. I
But we
think that
won
but we won. That's the thing, is that, like, in the past maybe we wouldn't have won, but I don't like saying, like, in the past we
in the
wouldn't have won,
past.
because you can't compare this team to any other team that we've had. But what I really loved about this game is that every single person on the field was involved, you know, and,
Absolutely.
and we played a game, like, we as Spurs played a game where you would think that it's against a team that you're not gonna that you can't break down. These are the teams that are gonna sit back and let us come to them. Those are the teams that you have to figure out a way to break down. They're going to be tougher, especially at home. Granted, they didn't have any guys to really press, Elise and Eze,
They
or
really weren't.
like,
Well,
but there
that's the
was.
thing. I saw this crazy metric that like Romero by himself completed more passes than the entire Crystal Palace team or something ridiculous like that.
Well, it's because of the last 15, 20 minutes of the game.
I mean,
I
there was
mean,
that period where him, Mickey, and Vicario were just passing to each other in a triangle. Nobody was pressing them, and they're like, "Well, all right, we're just going to keep doing this then." I mean, you guys need the ball more than
yeah,
we need to
and
get up the
at
field.
that point, like, Crystal Palace too, like, the fans were like, I don't know that they were booing Spurs at that point. I think they were booing their own team for not attacking them and not
I
pressing
think you're
them.
right.
You know,
Absolutely.
um, and that kind of play actually allowed us to score that second goal, which was one of the most beautifully played, uh, runs of play I've seen in years at Tottenham. In years at Tottenham.
Yeah, let's
Um,
break that. Let's break that one down because that involved what, one, two, three, four different players from that initial cross all the way to the ball hitting the back.
yeah, I mean, even from, like, Romero's play out to Sar, right?
Yeah,
Or
so
was it
five.
It was Poro, maybe. But still, we like that's the hallmark of this, is the play out of the back. Um, and
Yeah, but
you
I
you
wanna I
you
wanna
thinking
talk about
you're going to play
Sar.
through the middle. We can talk about Sar, because that I honestly don't think that was his best pass of the game. Um, I
No,
think
but
I think it was kind of a balloon pass that should have possibly been intercepted, but the way that Brennan Johnson just was able to run underneath it, like, I didn't know that ball was ever going to fucking come down, and then to play the header the way he did was just fucking outrageous.
Oh,
and and
absolutely.
and then get back into play to come in and get the assist on that goal. Like that was one of the most beautiful just runs of play that I've seen out of Spurs in years.
Absolutely, 100%. And you're spot on. The thing that I really want to stress about what you said is that he got himself back into play. Because how many times have you seen players, not just on Spurs, but in other teams throughout the league, they will flick on a ball like that, and that's like their contribution. They just stop moving.
Right. And he jumped back into play.
Yeah,
Uh,
they're constantly moving. The whole team, everybody, just because they don't have the ball, they're moving around, they're finding space, they're making runs, they're looking where gaps are and shifting accordingly. It is beautiful to watch.
I
But
think that
Sarr in particular, like, I, I wish I had mentioned it last week because now I feel like I'm just copying everybody, but he is
no,
one of
yeah,
those just quietly performing guys in the midfield, right? Like, yeah, he's got some inexperience in him. Yeah, he does do the odd like little goof or he tries something that's maybe a bit beyond his skill level and it doesn't come off. But the things that he does really well, you just don't notice because you're not supposed to notice them. He breaks up the play. He positions himself in a way that closes down a lane, so it forces them to go in towards like a Madison or a Pedro Porro or something. He's just, again, another young kid coming from a team that I believe got relegated out of France last year. It would have been easy for us to, kind of chalk him up to like, he's just going to tank our midfield. It's not going to be good. But he's stepped in and just quietly asserted himself. He's not getting the same sort of plaudits that like a Basuma and a Madison are getting, but he's deserving of his space in midfield. And honestly, like with Bentancur finally coming back, and I do think Bentancur probably steps in for Sarr if he hits his peak fitness, same levels that we saw before the injury. But Sarr being able to rotate in amongst Bentancur, amongst Basuma, is just like such a luxury that I don't think we've had in so long. Like that is midfield depth at its peak.
yeah. I think that the thing about Sar that I really love, and I think you pointed to it a little bit, was that he's super understated. He's not out there looking for, you know, that he's not looking for all the plaudits. He's not out there trying to be the best player on the field at all times. And he's not a showy guy. He's not a hey, look at me guy. He does little things well that typically don't get recognized. He plays a lot of really nice passes. Um, he's young and inexperienced, and I think that the rotation he's going to end up getting with Bentancur once Bentancur um, gets up to pace and gets up to fitness. um i think that I think that it's going to be invaluable. Spurs for so many years have had such a lack of depth in the midfield. If we could just get Lo Celso firing a little bit too, get him on the field in maybe this Spurs world, I think I've said it before, the Spurs world is maybe not right for Lascelles. So I think that we're gonna have to just like stick with him and try and work with him the best we can because he's going to be needed because we're gonna have times where Madison just needs fucking rest. Um
Yeah.
I know we're not in Europe right now, but we are right now we're playing a stretch of Friday or Monday games, right? Um, and it's as if you're playing in Europe, it's as if you're not obviously not having to travel to fucking in the to Belarus or whatever in the fucking conference in the conference league or something like that, but like these guys are still out there and they're still putting in the work and I'm sure there's no let off when it comes to training either. I mean, the training videos that we see are the nice things that happen at training, right? Um, we don't see all the coaching and the tactical stuff and the fitness stuff that they do. Every once in a while we'll see them like fucking around on their exercise bikes, right? You know,
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, it's basically who is it who fucks with Richarlison all the time? Is it Sar who fucks with Richarlison?
I'm sure. I feel like
Sure,
Romero
Richarlison's
does
always
too.
like
It
batting
seems
them
like.
away. Like, um, you know, I think that this midfield is going to be good. Is going to be good to go, and I think we need one more guy in the midfield. We need one more attacker, and we need one more defender. In the window, in the January window. The thing is, like, where are you going to find a defender who's going to want to come and be third choice and be a rotational guy, and where are you going to find an attacker? A good attacker or a good creative midfielder who's going to want to come in and sit behind a Madison. The thing that you have to sell them is you have to sell them Tottenham Hotspur's going somewhere in the future. Um,
Absolutely. And speaking of future, Brennan Johnson, holy shit, dude. Like we talked about it a little bit with the goal, but like you have to, what blows my mind about him is, even coming off of an injury and like trying to work his way back into it, this dude is he's electric. He adds another level to us that I don't think we've really had before. Not knocking Richarlison, who actually, he's shown some moments of real solid effort, real good work in these last few games. His assists, maybe his goals aren't really there, but he's at least getting some assists. But Brennan Johnson coming on and immediately, he's got the assist. He's got another, important pass or through ball or something that, he's just getting involved in such short periods. And this dude he's hungry. He is hungry for it. And that hunger, I think, you could say the same thing about just about every single person on that field. They're hungry for that ball. They want it. It's such a beautiful thing to see. There's that passion in there. You see, even after the goal was conceded, you got Romero and Vicario like screaming, not yelling at each other, but like amping each other up, getting each other back in the game. They know they need to finish things off, but it was for me, it was incredible to see Brennan Johnson in such a short time just come in there and just be a game changer.
Fuck yeah, dude! Like you can legit go out and get guys from lower level teams that are even just good players on the team. They don't have to be the best players on their team. Um, you know, Case in point is Brennan Johnson at Nottingham Forest. You have Mickey Van de Ven, coming out of Wolfsburg, and obviously they're not the best players on their team, but they're really good players on their team in their lower level teams, right? Not to dig out Wolfsburg, but like you play in a farmers league. Um,
The Bayern Munich League.
the Bayern Munich league where there is no defense, so you can always look good being a defender in Italy and in fucking in Germany. So like, but you don't have to have the $100 million player every fucking time. Is it nice to go out and get a Vinny Jr.? Fucking yeah, it is. Is it nice to go out and get a Jude Bellingham? Yeah, fucking great it is. Sure it is. Why not? But you don't have to have those guys. You can have guys like, you know, James Madison, who was not looked upon by any fucking one in the world, obviously. Otherwise, he would have been swept up, or we would have had to way overpay to get him. You can get those Brennan Johnsons. You can get guys like Mickey Van de Ven. It's 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 a Destiny Adogi. Like we got all these guys basically for free, and not I wouldn't say for free because you know
I mean, when you consider the spending of some of our rivals, it does feel like we did fucking
it
rob
doesn't
somebody.
always work. Just yeah, well, yeah, but it doesn't. My point is, it doesn't always fucking work when you're trying to go out there and build a team of superstars. Look at Chelsea,
Absolutely.
and you
But
know
the
what?
other
The thing
the other
is
thing
that
that's interesting to me, and this goes back to Ange's philosophy, right? Like he had an interview. We've talked about it before. I'm going to bring it back up because it's such an important way that Spurs are setting themselves up for now and the future. He makes this comment. The scout brings him, five or six players. And yeah, they're all going to be good players because the scout has scouted them. They've done their work. They know that. It comes down to the person, right? This is the Vicario coming over Raya. This is what we're seeing with your Brennan Johnson, with your James Madison, with your hell, it was before Ange, but even Sar coming in, yeah, we signed him pre-Ange, but Ange is the one who put Sar in. He put Destiny in. They didn't need to go back out. He listens to what type of person it is and goes for that. And I think we're going to see a lot of that as we get a couple more of these transfer windows under Ange's belt. We're going to see a lot of players coming in who, we might scratch our heads thinking, well, why'd we get that guy? What's the deal? I'm sure some people will be outraged. How come we got so and so instead of this big name player? And then we're going to consistently eat our words because those guys that are going to come in that want to play for Spurs, that want to play for Ange, they're going to have that same hungry look, that same craziness in their eyes, where they will lay down and put their body on the line for Spurs week after week after week. And it's going to be a marvelous thing.
It's going to be, and no question, no question at all. I think that like we're top of the table now. Is it going to last? Probably not. But like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of hearing people saying, you guys are celebrating like you already won the league. Fucking right we are.
Yeah. Have you
Fucking
seen us play last season? I mean, come on.
fucking right we are. You know what? Have you seen us play the last like 3 seasons? Sure, we made it to the Champions League. That was kind of maybe that was kind of fluky, like a lot of the fans said. I don't think this is a fluke, Steve. I like let us fucking feel good about our club and let us feel good about our team. We don't sit there and tell fucking city plastic city fans you're not allowed to feel good about your team. We don't sit here and tell fucking Liverpool fans you're not allowed to feel good. You know, yeah, you know what? We say that about West Ham because their fans are fucking terrible. We say that about fucking Chelsea because their fans are intolerable. We say that, I didn't even say that about Chelsea when they won the Champions League. Good on you because you guys did something that how many other teams couldn't do. You outlasted them, you outplayed them. Sure. But don't sit here and tell us we're not allowed to fucking have fun with this. That we're not allowed to enjoy being top of the table right now because you know what? Fuck you. That's what I say. I'm
Yeah.
going to
And
enjoy the shit out of this. Why not us,
absolutely.
Steve? Why not us?
And frankly, you're right. Like, does it last? Probably not. But you know what? I'm good with that, right? I think every Spurs fan coming into the season was not expecting us to be performing at the level that we are. I think that if we do find ourselves up against the wall, we hit a roadblock, we take a loss, take another loss. I think with what we're seeing from the players and what we're seeing from the staff, the coach, the organization as a whole, they've bought themselves a lot more grace than they had last year. But there is one thing you said that I need to asterisk because you said no question about it, and there is actually one question, Mike,
What's
and
that?
that question is this: Hey, Mike, what you drinking?
Ah, fuck. You got me.
Yes.
You actually got me this time. Um, well,
Well,
Steve.
here's the thing, Mike. Here's the thing.
Well, Steve.
Without
Um,
Dave prompting me, I had to look for a way to organically bring it into the conversation.
it's funny
Um,
that you ask. Um,
oh, it's funny, is it?
it
Funny
is
how?
funny, haha.
Like I'm a clown? Like I
Like
amuse you?
you, you went all Joe Pesci on me. So today, Steve, I was gonna do one of the beers I got from Scotland. Um, but Dave wanted me to do one of those specifically. Uh, and Dave couldn't be with us today. He's out on injury break. He's at home rehabbing.
Yeah, with the
Um,
physio, he's on the table getting his massage or whatever.
yeah, rubbing his leg on that round fucking thing that they roll
Oh
their leg
yeah, the,
over.
the foam roller, is it?
Yeah, those things. um,
Just picture him out
today
in his like garage sauna, just with a towel placed over him, just relaxing,
that
not
nice
a care in
TV,
the
that
world.
nice TV he's got mounted in the garage now, and in the
Inhaling the
little
fumes
fire
from his
table.
fire pit.
He's got a fucking fire table in the garage. Oh, I love it. Um, so this is brewed. I think we've done. one from this company before, but this is Liambrew Ale Company. They used to be called Liambrew Tasty.
Leambrew
Um,
Ale. Interesting. Vermont, did it say? I've never heard of
yeah,
them.
Proctor, Vermont. Literally, this place is literally like 8 minutes from where I grew up,
Ah,
or where I lived when I lived at when I moved to Pittsford when I was 12. Um, but this is it's in Proctor, Vermont. It's located at the old Vermont Marble, um, which my grandfather worked at since he was like a child. Um, and my father worked there when he was a child. You know, in the marble quarries, in the processing area. So this is where this brewery is in Proctor, Vermont. This beer is a pilsner. We're going with a pilsner tonight, and it's called Leaf Apocalypse, and I think it's very very fitting for what's going on outside right now.
I
Our
love
trees
it.
our trees have lost all of their leaves, and it is the leaf apocalypse. It's got an angry looking leaf on there. It's pretty
Yes.
cool can art. I mean, it's pretty basic, but it's pretty cool. 5% alcohol, 1 pint. It says the time has come. Leaf apocalypse is upon us. Dirty Leaf, carefully evading its enemies, declares, "No rake will take me." As he plans his next move, floating and flying through the air, a strong gusty wind blows and the ground comes near. Checkmate.
All right, I'm into it already. Let's see what it's like.
I'm going to pour it into my grandfather's old Pilsner glass. I have a whole set of these that were his.
Excellent, excellent. Look at that pour.
Oh
Ooh.
boy, this is fucking yummy looking. This is like a 10-ounce Pilsner glass, not a big one, little guy.
Oh yeah, nice and clear.
You put like a Peroni in this, right? Like an Italian style. Um, yeah, this is super clear. It's super, super fizzy. Straight off the top, like one or two finger head, depending on how I poured it. Oh, it smells really fucking good. Uh, I expect this to be crisp like a newly fallen leaf, dead leaf.
It kind of looks that way. I mean,
Oh man, it
I can't
smells.
smell it, I can't taste it. I've got nothing to go on, but just looking at it, it looks refreshing. It looks like something that I would want to take out on the porch and drink as the leaves fall down.
You would really like this. It's got like you drink like an American pilsner, like a macro brewed pilsner. You drink one of those, and you're gonna get basically the same taste out of like a fucking Coors or a Budweiser or a Miller or whatever.
Yep.
And then you drink some of these uh pilsners that are like craft brew pilsners. And they have a completely different taste. This kind of is like in between them.
Hmm.
It's got like the bitterness of that craft style brew, but it's got the sweetness of that macro brew. It's fizzy. I really like this, and I'm gonna go buy more. It's really, really fizzy. Um, and it's really, really light. I really, really like this. I'm gonna buy more. It is, I mean, it is like a perfect color. It smells great, dude. Like there are some of those craft pilsners that you just can't drink because I don't know what it is. It's like they
It's
don't
like you
use the
tried too
hops.
hard.
Yeah, you're trying too hard. Yeah. Maybe they just didn't try real hard. They just said, fuck it, we're gonna go for it. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's just do it. All right. I've got my guess in.
Okay. I don't know who you sent it to, but
I have no well, I can't send it to anybody, but I'm going to hit enter the same time that you start to talk so that we know I'm not cheating.
okay, so I'm going to give this rating a 4.0.
Oh damn, I was
Oh,
close.
that was fucking close.
So close. I went with the 3.8. 3.8. That was close.
Yeah, that was close. Dude, this beer is so goddamn good, and I'm so glad the brewery is so close to my parents' house. So close to where I grew up. Um,
Yeah, now you have an excuse to go visit the
It's
folks,
not
right?
it's not the Burlington, it's not the Bennington, it's not the it's not one of the bigger towns. It's a little tiny town called Proctor, Vermont. Of course, founded and named for by John Proctor, who was a giant piece of shit. He was basically the Donald Trump of his day. But um,
Oh, was he indicted too?
those poor bastards, those poor bastards in that town don't get a choice. I know I love Proctor. I grew up hanging out there. One of my best friends lives there. He's a Wolves guy, but he doesn't live there. He's from there. But um, anyway, yeah, Leaf Apocalypse, a Crispy
And what about a
Pilsner.
song?
Oh, a song.
Yeah.
Let's.
Oh, he's going in for another drink to really get the music flowing.
You know what? Let's do it. Black Sabbath, Sweet Leaf.
Really? Interesting. Interesting choice.
I,
Why
I
that?
worked I worked Leaf in there.
Well,
I worked,
yeah. Yeah. If I were
but it's
Dave,
like it's yeah, if you were Dave, you would think that I had picked it out
predetermined it.
predetermined, but I did not. Um, I initially thought AC/DC's Dirty Deeds, but this does feel like rock and roll. It just feels like,
Hey,
but it's got that, like, it's the sweetness of the beer, and I understand what Sweet Leaf refers to, but um, I had to work Leaf in there somehow, and I like the sweetness, the crispness of the beer, and that's where I'm going, Sweet Leaf.
that
Um,
works. That works. So one more time, Mike, for Dave in particular, who's gonna have to, give the credit where it's due. What is the brewery? What is the beer? It's a 4.0.
Liam Brew Ale Company, Liambru Ale Company. It's out of Proctor, Vermont. It's called Leaf Apocalypse, a crispy pilsner.
Leaf Apocalypse. Did that one for you, Dave. Well, we didn't do it for you because we're saving the Scottish beer for you. But
It's true.
working our way through this, we still got you in the back of our minds. Sometimes in the front, you're in there,
Under
whether you
my
want to be or
under my
not.
shoes, stuck to the bottom of it.
Yeah, something like that. So if I were Dave right now, I would be saying, well, let's look ahead. What do we got coming? I've got the schedule up. Our next game is another weekday game, which, to be
Oh,
honest,
go
I'm kind of
figure.
sick of. Uh, we've got Chelsea at home. Chelsea at home on Monday, November 6th. So 1 week from today. How do we feel about that? Let's see. Who do I want to go to? I think I'll go to Mike this time.
Oh, perfect. Uh, because I have some particular things to say about this. Um,
Fuck you, Chelsea.
Fuck off, Chelsea. Stop calling yourself the Blues. You sound stupid. Um,
Sounds like an Elton John.
but in all seriousness, Chelsea's lost, man. I honestly think the Premier League is better. It's more fun to go in these matches when Chelsea's like really good. You feel like you you can compete with them. I just feel like that we're too good for this team, and we're too good for the way that they're going to play. Um, I think that when you're playing teams like a Sheffield United, a team like a Crystal Palace, that Roy Hodgson is a fucking genius. When preparing his teams for games,
Look,
especially.
I texted you. I'm gonna say it for all the world to hear because it needs to be said. Roy Hodgson looks like the Penguin, like Batman's nemesis, the Penguin. It, it,
Like the
I
Burgess
can't get that
Meredith
imagery
version.
out of my head.
Like the Burgess Meredith version.
Yes, exactly. That's all I can picture. But they were showing him on the sideline at like that 3/4 profile, and he had his little crooked nose there, and he's looking all, kind of small and swirly. It's like
You wanted him to be wearing a top hat, didn't you?
I really do. I half expected Batman to come swooping into the stadium and arrest him for something.
He did. His name was Ange Postacoglu. The new Batman. The new
Perfect.
Batman.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. So Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea.
so yeah, I think Hodgson had a great game plan But I don't think Pochettino is. He's not one of those managers who likes to change the way he plays. He begrudgingly did it at the end of his tenure with Spurs, but like how many times did he trot out that fucking false nine or the fucking diamond like at the end of his tenure? Like how many times was he just refusing to play in a way that's going to preserve any kind of a Champions League spot or any kind of a try and preserve his career there? Like I just don't think he's the type of guy who will change the way he plays. Sure, he might throw some different players in there, but like, Conor Gallagher's been playing actually really well. I like to watch. I love watching him play. No wonder we were obviously linked with him, and maybe still are. He's going to cost a lot more money now that he's playing well and he's captaining the team. But like, you can't just go out there and buy. And I've said this before, and I think I said it earlier in the podcast. You can't just go out there and buy guys because they're the best player on their team in big leagues. You can't. In big teams and big leagues, you just can't do that. That's not how the world works. It might work in baseball, that shit might work in baseball. It does not work in world soccer. You need players who are able to suit each other's playing styles. You need players who can work together, and instead you have a bunch of fucking individuals out there. Um, Mudrick is dude, that guy would rather fucking make love to his own face than play football with a bunch of other guys on a team. He's too fucking pretty out there. Thiago Silva's 1,000 years old. Like these guys, just because they're the best players and you paid a bunch of money for them, doesn't mean they're going to win you championships. Look at the Yankees. The Yankees haven't won fucking shit since 2000. Like, okay, they won one in 2009 and they bought that championship, but
Not sustainable.
it's not sustainable and it's not good for the short term. It's not good for the short term and it's not good for the long term. They're going to find themselves in some serious financial straits. And I honestly think if they're going to come out and try and play the way that Pochettino plays, I think they're going to get fucking destroyed. This Tottenham team is built to play against teams that want to play wide open, that want to press. In Pochettino, we know that he just loves to fucking press. Problem is, his players don't want to play for him because he's a commandant, right? He doesn't accept anybody straying from the way he wants to play. And while it may be attacking, while it may be kind of free flowing, if you have a bunch of overpaid fucking childish millionaires, guess what? They're not going to play for you. They're not going to play together. And I think that I'm hoping that this plays right into our type of Ange's type of system, and Chelsea gets found out. It's harder to play against those Sheffield Uniteds. It's harder to play against those teams like Crystal Palace, teams like Fulham who are built to defend and who are built to stop you from scoring because they put 8, 9, 10 guys behind the ball and they won't press you. They're going to let you try and play, and they're going to try and make you play against your will, like Fulham did, try to make us play to the outsides when they know that we want to play through the middle. Chelsea's gonna go out there and play wide open like the way they want to play, and they're either gonna narrowly defeat us or draw with us, or they're gonna fucking fuck around and find out. And I hope they do because I cannot wait to sit in my house and every time they show Maurizio Pochettino, boo the fuck out of this entire town of Georgia. They're gonna hear me.
Excellent. It's interesting looking at kind of the not the on the field expectations for the game, but rather the sideline expectation, right? All the cameras, all the commentary is going to be about Pochettino's return to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They're all going to be looking at him. Like that's the narrative that you're going to hear the commentators talking about it nonstop, pre-game, post-game. It's all going to be about Pochettino. And honestly, I think that kind of works in Spurs' favor because we've experienced this quite a lot this season where nobody wants to really give Spurs the credit that I think we're due. There are some guys out there like Jamie Carragher, for what it's worth, it has been a little quicker to jump on the, Spurs are actually pretty damn good train. Gary Neville's just, incompetent, complete fucking idiot. But
What
like
a
Tim Howard is for whatever reason like anti-Spurs. Yeah,
Gary
I
Neville,
just
like in that Beckham documentary, Gary Neville got me on his side for like a split second. Then I remembered who the fuck he was, and I was like, "Yeah, you're a fucking piece of shit anyway."
I think my favorite thing about Gary Neville right now is the interview that he had with Ange Postacoglu after I think it was after the Palace game, where JB Carragher had made that comment like, "Oh, because you're just copying Pep, right?" And Gary Neville goes, "Yeah, I tried copying Pep too." And Ange looks at him and goes, "Yeah, how'd that work for you?" Gary Neville, who famously got fired for being such a shit manager.
You fucking mutt.
But yeah, I mean, all the attention is going to be on Pochettino, right? Like Spurs, they're not in the limelight for this, which is kind of weird, right? It's a home game against Chelsea. We're top of the table. You would think a lot of attention would be made on Ange and how he's got the team playing and all that. But I do anticipate most of the narrative is going to surround Pochettino and what he can or cannot do
And
on
then
his return.
and I think that Ange likes that.
Oh, he absolutely does. He doesn't
He's
want to
gonna
be in
love
the
it.
limelight.
No, he's gonna quietly prepare for this. They're gonna ask some stupid fucking questions in his pregame presser, and he's gonna fucking swat it away cleverly like he always fucking does.
But you know what? Like I'm looking at the last couple of attacking formations that Chelsea have thrown out there. In my opinion, they just don't have the consistency or the experience to cope with Spurs defense the way it stands right now. I think Romero and Mickey have got, Jackson, Madueke, Sterling, Palmer. Like they're just going to gobble them up. I have absolutely no concern about that. It's the defensive side of things where I think things will get a little bit interesting because despite being about 80 billion years old, Thiago Silva still somehow manages to show up and have a solid defensive outing when we play. Um, so the question is going to be, what's going to cave first? Is it going to be Chelsea's defense or is it going to be Spurs' defense? And I think one of these attacking sides, Spurs, is going to have way more opportunity to break open the other side's defense because we just have players who are firing on all cylinders right now in a way that Chelsea's players are not. We are working for each other. We're working together. It doesn't matter who's up there. It could be Son, it could be Madison, it could be Pedro fucking Porro. I could be up there. The way the team's playing right now, they would figure out a way to get me involved. I don't see that level of chemistry with Chelsea right now. I watched their game against Brentford where they lost 2-0 at home. They're just not a team that really scares me. They might have, a 5 or 10 minute stretch here and there where they look like they could be threatening. They look like they're going to be pushing and applying some pressure, but it's not something that's going to be consistent. It's not something that they can rely on. If they are unable to get that first goal, they are going to struggle immensely. If Spurs score first, Chelsea have to open up, and that is going to be an incredibly dangerous thing for them. I don't know that's pretty much what they have to do, right? You need Chelsea to win this game, need to score in the first 15 minutes, or else they're fucked. Because I don't see them if Spurs get in their groove, the Spurs get the rhythm, and they're allowed to dictate the game. And it's at home for us, so we've got the home field advantage. We've got the supporters on our side. If Chelsea can't undo that quickly, they're just fucked. They're not going to be able to keep up with Spurs. I don't see us losing this game. That said, it will be pretty fucking Spursy of us to lose this game.
We're not
Uh,
Spursy anymore.
we're not Spursy anymore.
Or we are.
This is
We
Ange.
are. We're new Spursy.
This is motherfucking Ange Postacoglu ball. And I of all the games we have coming up, next 4 games we've got Chelsea, Wolves, Villa, and City. This is probably the one that I'm least concerned about.
Um, you know what, dude? To tell you the truth, um, the way that I feel about this game, I mean, I know I've already said it once or twice. Um, just so you know, my daughter's putting a Swifty bracelet on me right now. Um,
Oh yeah, T Swift.
the thing that I really really just want to see out of this game is I want to see Spurs um play play attacking football. I want to see them having fun doing it, but I also want to see a little bit of passion. Um, and it's not just passion for the badge; it's passion for the game that they're playing out there. Um, I'll show you guys. There it is.
Oh,
Dad,
dad,
dad on it.
fantastic. Wonder
Um,
if we could get Taylor on the podcast, talk a little bit of Spurs.
I doubt it. Her super boyfriend is with his super eyebrows is not a Spurs fan. Um, there is a tight end though who's actually on injured reserve right now. His name's Zach Ertz. He is a Spurs fan. Because Julie is a Spurs fan, right? So, um,
So let's get him. Dave, get on that. When you're listening to this and you're editing and doing all that, just
Dave,
make a note for yourself.
you're on injured reserve right now. So is Zach Ertz. Go get him.
Exactly. If you're going to be in the locker room together, if you're going to be doing rehab together, like I assume that you are, just ask him to come on, man. What's the worst that could happen? I
Dave's
mean, he is a tight end, so he might actually, level Dave, but
do you think that Taylor when she saw him was like tight end? Yes, please.
oh boy.
Oh, we've gone there. We've gone there. So
Please don't come for us,
so
Swifties.
when
I
it's
love Taylor.
just I actually do love Taylor Swift, but I just want to say that like I just want to see passion. I want to see them want to crush this fucking team.
Yes. Yes.
Um
Crush him in a way that the Swifties crush anybody who speaks ill of Taylor Swift.
or Travis or Jason Kelsey for that matter.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah, fuck the Eagles. Um
Absolutely.
so yeah,
Wait, no, we want him on the podcast though, don't we?
no,
Uh
We want Ertz on the podcast.
oh,
I don't.
or it's a
Jason Kelsey, I'll have Jason Kelsey on this podcast anytime. That guy has stories forever. I don't know if you've heard their podcast, but it's great. It is great.
one podcast host to another. I'm sure he'd be willing to do us a favor, right?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely not. Probably not.
I'll hold my breath.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what you see. That's got to be a recruiting strategy. You get Dave to reach out and say, there's a little boy in the hospital who's just aching to hear you come on Wicked Spursy. I know because I put him there.
He held his breath for 45 minutes.
I'm just sitting in there like I just want him to come on.
He deprived his brain of oxygen for too long, and now he's on life support. All because of you, Jason and Travis Kelsey.
This could have been avoided if you had just come on Wicked Spursy and talked Tottenham Hotspur for a little while. A
Oh
couple
my god.
goofballs. Well, now that we've thoroughly derailed this, what do you think?
It's
Is it
not
time?
our fault. It
Is
is
it that
not our
time
fault.
for closing thoughts?
I think it's time for closing thoughts, Steve.
What do you got for us tonight?
Oh, you're gonna make me go first.
Fine. I'll give you a closing thought. I'll give you. Tomorrow's Halloween.
Mhm.
By the time you guys are listening to this, it might actually be today. Happy Halloween, everybody. And for those of you in another country that doesn't actually celebrate Halloween, you should fucking change that because Halloween's just delightful. You are depriving yourself of an incredible experience by not celebrating Halloween. Start it, make it your thing. Lord knows Americans have fucking stolen shit from however many other different cultures and called it our own. So you might as well take something from us, right? But for those of you going out there, doing trick or treating, just be safe. I'm sure Mike's going to say that again because it is an important thing, especially this time of year. Wear your reflective vests if you need to. Carry a flashlight. Make sure that you're visible. Um, and I can't believe I have to say this, but in this day and age, I feel like I need to. Don't go into a stranger's house. And if you're an adult and you're handing out candy, don't invite kids in. That's creepy. Don't do that. You
Bunch of
know,
fucking creeps.
just keep it light, keep it simple. Have a good time with it. If you're one of those curmudgeonly people who don't want people coming to the door and you're just going to have your lights off, really reconsider your life choices because one of the biggest things that I enjoy most about Halloween is being able to sit on my porch and hand out candy to the kids that come up and get to see, all their fun costumes and just, the light in their eyes and,
And the
because
teenagers who have mailed it in.
well, the world hasn't completely crushed them yet. So like this is the time of year where you get to experience, that childlike light that so many of us wish we could go back to. So
I
I hope all you are enjoying your Halloween, and I really hope if you've got kids and you're going out trick or treating with them, I hope they get a good haul, and I hope you're able to sneak a little bit of candy for yourself, mom and dad, or uncle or aunt, or whatever kind of guardian you might be. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Halloween. There,
that's
that's my closing thought. How about you, Mike?
that's a great closing thought, Steve. I myself am not a fan of Halloween at all. It's a time of terrible expectation. It's a time of children complaining that they're walking around for miles and miles getting bags and bags of candy, and you're going, as an adult, you're going, I'm fucking doing this. Why can't you do this? You're you're 30 years younger than I am, and you got to three houses and you're already tired and cold. I did this when I was a kid. You're going to do this now. It's a rite of passage. You're going to fucking do this, and I'm going to drink while you're doing it and walking behind you at a safe distance so that you can still be with your friends and fuck around like you want to.
And quite frankly, I'm going to eat your candy when you're not looking anyway.
That's
So,
also true. I should probably like this holiday more than I do, but I think it's the heavy weight of expectation on the parents with the costumes and stuff. You'll start to feel it soon, Steve. I used to love Halloween. I used to love handing out candy, and doing all those things that you love to do. Um, Unfortunately, when I was a kid, I grew up in an area where um, I lived down the end of a dirt road. Nobody's coming to my house. We had the neighbors' kids, so they're like four kids, and you knew once they showed up, you just turn your light off. And then we moved to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, into like a condo area, and we had shitloads of kids. Bags and bags and bags of candy we went through. Same when we moved to Colchester back to Vermont, bags and bags and bags of candy. And then we decided to move onto a back road and another back road. And we're not just on a back road now, we're on the end of a cul-de-sac on a back road where nobody comes because there's only three houses. So here's the deal. We go out and we walk around with our other adult friends, following our kids around, um, having a few drinks, laughing, crying, complaining that it's raining, complaining that it's 40 degrees outside in Vermont in October, at the end of October. So, Halloween's not my favorite. Thanksgiving's my favorite.
ooh, we'll
Uh,
be talking Thanksgiving real soon too.
we sure will, and my turkey hat and turkey shirt are coming out. So, um, and I don't have them yet, but I will get my stovetop stuffing pants at some point to go with my turkey hat and my turkey shirt. So we'll discuss that another time. So that's kind of my final thoughts. I think Spurs are going to go out there and win, and it's going to be convincingly 3-1, against Chelsea on Monday.
And the one goal that we concede is going to be because of a VAR fuck up, right?
I don't care if it is.
There you have it, folks. There you have it. So, with that, I guess I'll finish off with my signature. Coys, 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 coys. And don't be an asshole. And Mike, what about you?
Kids, again, like Steve said, little public service announcement out there. It Don't go into people's houses. It's crazy out there. make sure you have your parents check your candy for needles, hypodermic needles, and drugs, and don't take raisins from strangers. Boxes of raisins. I would, if you get a box of raisins or any piece of fruit, I would suggest that you throw it directly onto the ground and run away at high speed. Um, Other
Worse
than
if you
that,
get like a somebody one year when I was a kid was handing out travel size toothpaste. That is a
yeah,
house that maybe
immediately
return to later and maybe, with some toilet paper and some eggs. But
that's very
not that I
correct,
would
Steve.
condone such a thing. I'm just saying hypothetically.
We do not condone egging a house or toilet papering any trees. Um,
I'm just saying if somebody gave you toothpaste for Halloween, I would
I
understand it.
Yes,
I'll
yes, and
leave it at that.
I would suggest that you don't do it again, but good on you. So as I say that, go out there, guys. Again, wear your reflective gear. If you don't have reflective gear, go buy a fucking $1 glow stick to wear around your neck. All right. Um, Other than that, parents, be safe with your kids out there. Um, and as we go into Monday's game, just remember Tottenham Hotspur action. It's fantastic.
Yes.
How's the recording stopped, but not the live YouTube, Steve?